Hello and welcome. I'm Izabel Stapleton, your host, and this is the Background Screening Collective, a podcast that dives into the latest trends, challenges, and opportunities shaping our industry today, always with a focus on what matters most to you. Whether you're an industry pro, an entrepreneur, or just curious about how it all works behind the scenes, we bring fresh insights and real conversations. I'm here with Meghan Martinsen, our co-host, and Robin Schaffer, our co-host and producer. Together, we're three entrepreneurs with a passion in background screening, and we're here to bring the wholesaler perspective. So let's get started. Meghan, I'd love to hear a little bit about yourself, your history, and what brought you to this industry.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so excited to be here and working on this with both of you. I have been in this industry about 8 years at this point. It's insane that it's 2025, but it's really been that long. And I started off at a little company called SJV. Everyone may have heard of that, and it is no longer SJV anymore. We know SJV merged with Wholesale Screening to become Inform Data. While I was at Inform, I held many positions. I started off as a New Jersey court researcher. I would actually hop on over to court, jump on the public access terminal, and do research. I believed that this industry is one that I needed to learn from the ground up. So I started off in research. I've been in vendor management, procurement. I've worked as a product manager. I've worked in sales, solutions. I've worked in everything. So really excited to be doing this now. Now I'm a director of sales. I'm working in marketing. So I'm really excited to be a leader in this industry and to work with you guys to really get the wholesale perspective out there.
Awesome, Meghan. It's great to hear and how you got here to the industry. But tell me what made you stick around in the industry before I get Robin to introduce herself.
That's a good question. There's a lot of things that really got me to stick around. One of the biggest things is I think this industry is growing. So I think it's a field where I can grow, where my career can grow. I love the remote nature of my job. That's very important to me. But I really love the nature of our work. I say that, and what I mean by that is I love that we help protect children, elderly, disabled, all of these populations that really need protection. That's the heart of what we do. And I think sometimes that's forgotten. We're on the front lines. So if we make a mistake, that's a big deal, because the ultimate decision of whether to hire someone, whether to give them that apartment, it all starts with the research that our teams do. So I'm really excited to actually be doing something important, that to know that when I wake up in the morning and while I'm doing sales and marketing, I'm doing sales and marketing for a product that's actually, I don't mean to be dramatic, but we're saving lives. We're protecting children. So I can sleep well at night knowing that.
It's so true. It's so true. And I come from, a background, and I didn't introduce myself, but I'll come from a background in healthcare industry. And I never realized that I would actually feel like I'm making an impact more so doing this than I did in a hospital setting. So it's pretty interesting. Took me by surprise for sure. But, helping people build their lives is something that's so exciting. And I think keeping our community safe is, again, a key point to what we're doing. So thank you.
I heard before someone that I worked with previously always said, if you think that your job doesn't matter as a researcher, think again, because there are people on the other end of the phone or computer that are waiting to find out if they're going to have a job, if they're going to be able to put food on the table, if they're going to have a place to live. So if you really look at our industry like that, it's mind-blowing, actually.
Absolutely. In a whole community that wants to make sure that that person, right, is safe. So definitely our work is important. But before we go any further, I'd love for Robin to introduce herself. Robin.
Hi everyone, Robin Schaffer here. I have been in the industry for only 2 years, but I am somebody who likes to overread. So my first week I spent reading as many documents as I could find. If you've seen me in any of the PBSA sessions, you'll know my hand is always up. I cannot help myself but try to dig into all aspects that are new and exciting. And this is an exciting industry, constantly changing. There's so much to keep you engaged. And like Meghan said, it feels really rewarding knowing that my work isn't going to cause anything negative. Rather, it's likely going to lead to a very positive result. A stronger workforce, a more secure workforce, people we can trust around our children and vulnerable populations. So happy to be here on this podcast, and you guys will see me more behind the scenes, but definitely I'm here as a co-host as well, and I just can't wait to learn from you all and learn from our guests that we'll be having on. And Izzy, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I got my start in journalism and mass communications. That's how I wanted to help the world. That was always my biggest goal in the workforce, was how can I help? And when I went to school, my teachers made it very clear that journalism was a dying industry. Print media was dying. Journalism was changing. Citizen journalism was going to start. And I realized, okay, if I want to make an impact, maybe I need to do it in a different way. Went back in and in my interviews as a journalist was trying to understand what would be a better industry for me to get into. Education was my next thing. And I did teach for a little bit. I've been on the administration side and even in the public policy side outside of the US. But again, it didn't quite scratch that itch. 2020, I joined the workforce for my master's in education, and well, everything I studied totally changed when children were sent to study from home. So again, pivoted into biotech. That's where I met Izzy in a COVID-19 startup. And the stories we have that we can't share from that. We pivoted from there into freight, from freight, Izzy and Seth and we all work together at a wholesale company. They tapped me in and asked if I was interested in joining this industry and maybe bringing my operational insights from all these other companies where I was always involved in HR in some element as a manager in operations and, I-9 getting the background checks. I'd seen that front end, but I didn't really know much else besides that. So for about 6 months before joining the company formally, I would talk with Izzy and find out a little bit more, try to figure out where I would fit in. And operations, that's my forte. I've been doing that now for 2 years and scaling our team, improving our security, and getting us ready to expand our services and take on more and more work. Because we are a global world. It is a globalized industry. And so you can't just stop with your state or all the states or the states and territories. You have to keep being able to adapt and expand and evolve. And as somebody with a growth mindset, that's what I love about this industry. Forces you to constantly grow and constantly adapt.
Absolutely, especially in the positions we are all in, right? We all have titles, but we all work for startups. So for a fact, I know we all wear multiple hats everywhere. That's the part of the entrepreneur mind that I think makes us so special to be here and sharing with everyone. But just like Robin, what really drove me and what keeps my interest here is the fact that I get to do a lot of things. But first, let me introduce myself. Again, I'm Izzy Stapleton. I work with SAS Data. I'm one of the owners. And I got to this industry about 5 years ago, where I started my own CRA initially, worked on that for a good year, and then my supply chain, SAS, needed some assistance scaling. So I jumped there and they needed a lot of assistance. So then I made a tough decision and decided to close my first company to really fully invest on growing SAS. And that's been wonderful. But just like Meghan and Robin, I kind of been everywhere. I started as a VP of business development. However, I started really on the ground. I was the customer service person, the only one. Then from there, I created a team, and then I moved to my quality team. Then I moved to, of course, the executive team. We made a lot of decisions, and I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm in operations. I am in every aspect of the company, which I love, keeps me interested and engaged. And with my ADHD mind, I kind of need that to keep things really fun in my life. My initial drive to the industry, though, was a little selfish. I'm not going to lie. I was a little tired of not having a husband for like 6 years. That's all he did. He's immersed in the work and pretty much just worked all the time. So I had this grand idea that I would be able to jump in and get everything worked out for him and get him out. Still working on that, but definitely much further out. He was able to take his first vacation a couple of years ago. So that was a big milestone for us. But what I really love about the industry is, one, there's lots of opportunity for making things fun and more engaging, I think. And again, this is kind of our idea here with this podcast, just bringing different perspectives. But another part that I really enjoy that I didn't see it coming is, helping people grow their lives and build their lives with the team itself, managing people. It's surprisingly a lot more rewarding than saving their lives, which it's so strange just saying it out loud like this, but it's true. It's true. It's how it feels to me. There's just so much to learn, but yeah, I know so much already, right? Into all the things that you learn. So it's a catch-22 into you feel like you know so much, and then all of a sudden you get to the new phase or to the new skill, and then it's like, oh my god, I have to restart everything. And that goes into what Robin was saying with the growth mindset. It's just continue to improve ourselves and continue to be better every day. That is what keeps me really engaged and interested. But let's let our listeners know, why we're here. What is all this for? So Meghan, what are we going to talk about? Like, what are the topics that we kind of want to bring to the industry and to everyone listening?
From my end, I see this as a way to rally the team, rally the wholesalers and the CRAs, because we're really all in this together. Some issues we need to talk about are policy, legislation, the new administration in the White House. This is not a political show. We are not going to be giving you our thoughts on the president, but we are going to be talking about his policies, the legislation, CFPB, because that is really, really going to impact our industry.
Absolutely.
I am excited to talk about data broker rules. Are we a data broker? No, we are not a data broker. I'm excited to talk about Congressman West in Texas and what the heck he has against us. What's with all the bills against our industry? What's motivating him? What's motivating clean slate, ban the box? There's so much going on. And with my background in government, and I taught at GW, I have a background in education and law. So I'm super excited to dig in, really study that, and then really get everybody engaged. Because once we talk about these issues, people need to get out there and get other people excited and get them involved, like Advocacy Day after PBSA midyear. So I am really excited to touch on government relations, policies, legislation, all that fun and exciting stuff and controversial stuff, but we will avoid those issues.
Yeah, or avoid talking about them in an inflammatory or subjective way. You'll get objectively what's happening, what people are saying about that, and the opinions of our guests. I know for me, I'm really excited to hear from the guests coming in. I love learning. So compliance experts in operations. I just can't wait to keep learning as the person most green, literally wearing green, but as the person most green in the industry here on the call.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely am looking forward to our guests and the people that will come and bring different perspectives to what we're doing. I love to talk about, AI and automations. I think that's such a relevant topic. And how do you implement that, right? I think that's a tough thing. And where does it fit? I don't know about everyone. I'm already on board with it. ChatGPT is part of my daily life. So I definitely am eager to, of course, get that into our operations and how we can make it better for the researchers out there, right? And lessen errors. And so I'm interested to talk about that. Of course, FCRA, we can run from that. That's part of compliance and a lot of what our clients, the CRAs, require from us. And of course, just also talk about entrepreneur topics. How does it feel to grow a team, and in even the management side of things, culture, the importance of that for making any business successful. And that's something I've learned the hard way. I don't think I even knew what culture was really, until I had to understand what was our culture, and different topics that are, of course, relevant to our everyday life that are more broad outside of like the industry specific topics like operations, right? How do you get started with getting your researchers on the ground, right? Or how do you grow your team there? And what does it mean to grow a team? Robin, you as the producer, tell our listeners how this podcast is going to be different from all the other podcasts that are out there and why they should stick around and listen.
Well, you'll have my expert editing. I'm just kidding. No, it's really, we're going to take a really holistic approach to this. All of us have lives before the background screening industry that has enhanced our understanding and given us a unique experience with it. So you'll get our personalities. You're going to get our real raw takes on a lot of things, our overall kind of persona. I remember back 6 months ago, Meghan was asking kind of like, what is our persona? What are we going to be giving people? Industry adjacent topics as well. Things like mental health and how some of these laws intersect with that in the labor market for those who are affected by mental health issues. We're going to talk about advocacy and how you can get involved either through industry specific groups or other groups that, are pushing for pressing issues in our country or in our time. And of course, everything is going to be from our wholesale perspective and around industry topics. But that holistic approach is something that's unique. Entrepreneurs, they can listen to this. They don't have to be a part of the background screening industry. So too do entry-level employees. We hope that, anybody who's a professional with a growth mindset, that they can get something out of this. And of course, if they have HR leaning or if they're in the background screening industry, even more so.
Just really talking about topics that matter to all of us and that are relevant to the industry, but beyond. Like we just had California fires to deal with.
I'm amazed how I thought when I left Freight, that would be the end. I don't have to keep my eyes glued to the Weather Channel anymore. Like I've just accepted it's a part of my life. So LA fires, even though the fires have pretty much been extinguished and people are safe from that element, now you have the mudslides. If there's excessive rain, you have the cleanup, right? The possible toxic chemicals you're exposed to as you're sifting through the ashes. And identity theft is rampant now for those who were affected by the fires. There's a lot of fallout there in the recovery efforts, just as in North Carolina or Florida. Our home state is in my home state here. Yeah, but hey, that's why you're listening to us. So you don't have to be subjecting your heart and your mind to the Weather Channel nonstop like us. Supporting our researchers in the field and making sure we can keep our clients updated to turnaround times and whatever else is going on. Those fires, it's a great example of how a centralized system can really keep things running, because those, who are in California know that even if one courthouse is shut down, you can access most of the systems. And they did a really good job of keeping services running throughout. I'm really impressed by the clerks and the post office people and any public servant who just kept going during those fires.
Yeah, we all know how tough that is to just push through, especially if you lost your house or, right, like all your safety measures are gone. How do you even focus on work? It's quite incredible. Everyone that just pushes through, is the resilience there is just so amazing to me. And I'm right there with you, Robin. Like, it's just incredible. Like all of us, I mean, in a different way. Of course, we're not comparing ourselves to somebody that just had a big disaster, but I myself can relate to that. Just as a hurricane, Billy, every year I have to deal with that. But the last year has been quite challenging with 2 hurricanes back to back. So I'm still recovering my house damage from that. Meghan, you're safe up there, right? Like not much.
So we used to think we were. I used to say, oh yeah, well, I would never move to Kansas. That's, like where Dorothy is, and they have all those tornadoes. Well, I spoke too soon, because now New Jersey has hurricanes, tornadoes. My friend actually had a cyclone rip the roof off his house like a block from my house.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, unfortunately, New Jersey has all the fun stuff that you guys have. The only people that I know get hit as bad as California, it's like Louisiana. When I was a vendor manager, I oversaw California and Louisiana and Florida. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have like the worst states for weather. It was awful. When I lived in Florida, I loved the hurricane party, though. That was one thing I tried to bring up to New Jersey, but people don't celebrate hurricanes up here like they do down there.
Yeah. I'm from Belize, and we also have that culture, because usually you have a good enough warning time to bunker down and have your radio with your batteries and your snacks, your ice cooler. But yeah, not to glamorize it. I mean, we just try to find joy wherever we can,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Tornado Alley, talking about my weather facts, is shifting more and more east over time. Yeah, I'm always trying to find where's the best geographical spot for me to live, and now I've just accepted.
I feel like not.
There isn't really one. You just kind of...
No, I mean, it's just mitigating risk. And again, it goes back to everything we do, right? Mitigating risks, getting
That's the
prepared
purpose of our
advance.
Industry.
Absolutely. And just getting prepared in advance and being organized and just being able to plan. And, with that being said, this is what you should expect if you listen to us. A lot of real conversations, a lot of relevant topics to the industry, topics to entrepreneurs, and overall just a fun conversation about just life and what matters to us in the moment and in the future, and how we're preparing for all the changes that are yet to come. And with that, we wrapped up our first episode. Long 6 months to get here, so it's really exciting. You should expect to see us once a month coming out with some relevant topics. If you want to be a part of this, by all means, send us a message on LinkedIn. Join us in our LinkedIn group. We'll be sharing that with you guys very soon. And thank you for listening.